Happy Monday. It is Pushing the Limits. So glad that you can join us on a very sunny Monday, the day after the Masters. And we'll get into that. Don't worry. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to get to with the golf. Jamie D in the house. And we have some special guests today. A lot to get to, a lot to go over today. And joining us in studio, hour number one, is a man known as the Golf Guru. He hasn't been in studio here in a while, so it's good to see Dennis Silvers. Dennis, thank you so much for being here, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. Always a pleasure to be in the studio with you, my friend.
Unfortunately, Dennis's mic isn't working. That's not a good start to the show. Go ahead, Dennis. Go ahead.
All right.
There you go.
There we go. All right. I knew that. But anyway, always great to be here with you.
I didn't know you had a limp mic, Dennis.
Yeah. Well, as long as that's the only thing, I'm in good shape. But
well,
yeah,
anyway,
always nice.
Good to see you, Dennis. We have a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to Augusta National and the Masters, and I'm wearing my Tiger Woods shirt, as you can see, the mugshot shirt. Plenty to talk about Tiger Woods and the Masters, but we have to start off. Jamie, Dennis, we have to start off. Why am I saying everybody's name? I sound like Chris Wynn when I do that. But anyway, Chris Wynn will be joining us in hour number two.
Very inclusive. That's a good thing.
Yes.
I didn't know Chris remembers everybody's name in the first place.
He does,
Yeah,
and he says it every time anyone's in the room. All right, so we got to start off. We'll get to the golf, but again, another tragedy, another mass shooting. Police officer now in critical condition, and we know at least 4 people are dead in a shooting in a bank. It was like a scene from a movie, some witnesses said, in Louisville, Kentucky. Local hospital said it received 9 patients after the shooting, including a police officer who I just mentioned is in critical condition, a hero who was trying to save lives. Here's a shocker. The shooter used an AR-15 style rifle.
Shocker.
What a shocker. But everybody wants to get into the weeds with me. Oh, no, an AR-15, it's not an assault weapon. So here's something interesting. Republicans, Dennis, I know you're a Republican, so when I say Republicans, it doesn't mean I'm including you. Some Republicans want to point out that this shooter was a Democrat, which has zero bearing in this shooting. Now, when people bring up...
What does that have to do with anything?
Exactly. When people bring up a political affiliation in a shooting, if it was politically motivated, then I think that's very important, Republican or Democrat. Let's bring it up. Like, for example, when Steve Scalise was shot.
Right.
This was a staunch lefty...
Right, at the ball game, yeah.
Right. And that was appropriate to bring that up because that was motivation for the shooting. There is no evidence to support that this had anything politically motivated.
Right.
In fact, the shooter, who I guess happened to be a Democrat, told a family member, right, Jamie, you were telling me, that he was suicidal and he was going to go into the bank and kill a bunch of people, and I guess then he killed himself. That has nothing to do with whether he's a Democrat. You know what Republicans are not talking about today? Some Republicans? Gun control.
Right.
Mental health.
Yep.
Gun control.
Say it again, gun control.
Yeah. So, Dennis, I want to ask you this because you come from a different political perspective, even though I think we agree on a lot of things.
Yeah.
When Republicans talk after a school shooting, and many Republicans, not all, they want to talk about how we need to arm our teachers, we need more security in the schools. How is it then that in a bank, when we have all this technology, cameras everywhere, armed security that are actually trained, yet somebody could still go in there and shoot a bunch of innocent people? What makes people think that if we arm teachers, that's going to change anything? It's not. Help me understand that.
Well, I totally agree with you, and this thing is such a tragedy. I mean, people, as you know, we talked about before the show, people are just going nuts, Brian. I don't care what their political affiliation is. Their philosophy and their outlook on life is just weird. They're whack jobs.
Yeah.
And it is a real serious problem, be it mental health or political affiliation or their beliefs or whatever. But that's a very, very good question. I personally don't think arming school teachers is the answer because when push comes to shove, Brian, you know this, how is a 5th grade teacher actually going to take a gun out and shoot somebody?
Right.
I mean, it's really hard to do that.
And how are the kids going to feel protected and safe anyway? Because I know if I was a student with a teacher and a gun, I'd be afraid of the teacher.
You know,
I would not feel safe at all.
But yet we have all these, and I'm going to just say it, they're Republicans that are trying to focus on the fact that this shooter may have been a Democrat, and yet they're not talking about gun control issues, what could have actually prevented this shooter, who was clearly mentally deranged, suicidal, from killing a bunch of innocent people. And now we have a police officer, a hero, in critical condition. We have 4 people that are dead. The governor out there said that he actually used to bank at this facility, and he
Yeah.
actually personally knew one person that's
Right.
deceased and one
Yeah.
person that's in critical condition. But yet you have so many despicable people that are emphasizing the fact that this guy might have been a Democrat. And again, another AR-15 type weapon, but everybody, that is
Wants to dismiss
pro-gun.
the fact of the guns.
Yeah, they don't want to talk about the actual gun that was used here.
Yep.
It's so frustrating to me, man.
Brian, I honestly don't think when push comes to shove that gun control is going to happen. There's too many big time corporations, people, manufacturers, gun clubs that are so against this, and I just don't think it's going to happen, Brian.
You're probably right. And I know a lot of Republicans don't want to hear this, but the reason why it's not going to happen is because Republicans fail to pass gun laws and put gun laws on the books. Now, listen. You could
That's
have,
true. I agree with you.
I'll be pragmatic here and say that you could have every law put in place that I want. It may have not stopped this shooting from happening. It may not have.
100%.
Well, yeah, psychos are going to get guns regardless.
Yeah.
They're going to find ways.
100%.
And I totally understand that. However, we put an assault weapons ban in place. We do more to help those that are mentally ill. Red flag laws on the books. Raise the age 18 to 21. I do believe that there are things we could do. It may not have stopped this shooting. It may have, it may not have.
Right.
But it will lower gun violence in this country. And that's what gets me frustrated. There's not one Democrat that I've heard of that would say, oh, you pass these laws and it's going to end all the gun violence. That would
Right.
be a ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah.
But yet Republicans today, they want to emphasize the fact that this was a Democrat. If you go on social media right now, what's trending right now is hashtag another Democrat. And I said to myself, how despicable are you? Do you think that those who lost loved ones care about what the political affiliation
Right.
was?
Hell
now,
no.
if this was a Democrat bank or a liberal bank, or the other way around, if it was a Republican bank, only MAGA supporters could
Right,
go there,
right.
and then a liberal went in there and started shooting people, then I think that would be appropriate to talk about the politics
Right.
of it. But there's no evidence to support that this was politically motivated at all.
And
None.
what does your political party have to do with anything in general as it pertains to a mass shooting? Because
In
at the end
some-
of the day, why are you trying to dismiss the fact that the guns are the problem? Why are you talking about a political party? And at the end of the day, why are you also trying to place a situation on the Democratic Party when the Republicans are the ones who need to make the decision regardless about gun control?
Right. And now we're learning that the officer in quick coalition from the Louisville shooting graduated from the police academy just 10 days ago.
Oh, wow.
How sad is
Wow,
that?
that's very sad.
How,
It's horrible.
So we hope that he pulls through.
Horrible.
An example, the Texas El Paso shooting at the Walmart. In the manifesto, talked about Donald Trump and attacking brown people and those that are undocumented. That's appropriate to talk about because that was the motivation for the
Right.
shooting. My understanding, and we're going to learn more about the shooting, but my understanding of this shooting in the Louisville, Kentucky bank is that this was a deranged individual who was ready to die, and he was suicidal. He used to work at this bank, so maybe he had some grievances, and he just went in there and started to kill innocent people. From what I can tell, it had nothing to do with politics. If anybody can tell me anything otherwise, then so be it. Republicans and Democrats commit horrible, violent acts.
Right.
If we stop playing that damn political, stupid game, and by the way, if a Republican goes into a bank and shoots a bunch of people, I don't see a lot of people in Washington that are Democrats saying, oh, you see, Republicans are the ones that commit the mass shootings. It's just despicable. We have to stop this and look for solutions
Right.
to this very, very awful problem in this country, which is gun violence.
100%.
Yeah, so-
I
Also,
agree.
too, I want to understand, when will people get tired of these situations?
Yeah.
When will people get tired of having these conversations? And my thing is, what will it take for you to actually put laws in place to stop this stuff? I mean, like I said, it's the governor who said that he lost close friends, correct? The governor lost close friends.
Right,
Like,
he was very emotional in that press conference.
And,
Yep.
But it shouldn't take that type of situation for it to hit home. It should hit home when
Yeah.
your American people that you're supposed to support and protect are killed regardless.
Well, you make a good point, and I think from what I see on the news and from television, more and more politicians, be them Democrat, be them Republican, are saying, when is this going to come to an end? Enough is enough. We've got to start looking at things and start doing something about it.
But Dennis, what you said earlier, I kind of agree with, because it's like after the could we have anything worth of what happened in Sandy Hook, where a bunch of 8 and 9-year-old kids were killed, and nothing really happened then.
Right,
but
right,
it wasn't Barack
right.
Obama's fault. He tried to
But
pass
see-
proper gun legislation,
Yeah.
and Republicans would not allow him to do so.
You know what I said last week, which I'm actually very sad that I said? I was like, there's going to be a next mass shooting probably this month. And look, less than a week later, I said that probably Wednesday or Thursday.
There's a lot of, so
And-
I think a mass shooting is defined as 4 or more people being
Right.
killed. And I don't care whether it's black on black crime. I don't, people want to emphasize the race of somebody.
or the political
But
party.
I will tell you this. In mass shootings where there are, I don't know, 10 people that are killed or more, a pistol, for the most part, is not being used. It is
Right.
an assault weapon that is being used.
Yeah.
But yet Republicans, many of them, again, not all of them, many of them, don't want to address that issue. And again, I'm not saying that this shooting definitely wouldn't have happened. And I'm not saying that some of these other mass shootings across the country wouldn't have happened, because that would be irresponsible. But again, I go back to what I said earlier. If you put an assault weapons ban in place, we do a better job of helping those that are mentally ill. If you're seeking treatment like the shooter, the trans shooter, and I hate to use the term trans, but the shooter in Tennessee was seeking mental health, right? They were getting evaluated and trying to get up.
So
That person should not be allowed to purchase a gun legally when they're getting evaluated.
And I agree with
Totally.
you, but I also want to ask both of you this question, Dennis and Brian. Do you believe that the description matters when you're describing an assailant? Because you said trans shooter. Would it have been more correct to call them a mentally ill shooter versus a trans shooter? Because, like you said, them being trans or them being a Democrat has nothing to do with them being the shooter.
Yeah.
It's what they're going through or what is actually happening in that moment.
That's a very good point that you raise, and I think the reason why trans has become an accepted term in today's political arena, as opposed to a whack job or mentally ill, it's a little more sensitive and
Why are we being sensitive?
You know, yeah, and it's basically the
That
same
person
thing.
was
I think
mentally
you've
ill.
got to be a whack job
Right.
to be a trans. That's just my
Right.
opinion.
And I was telling Brian this last week that it's a way to deflect from the problem. If we call them trans, we don't have to dig deep into them being mentally ill and stopping mentally ill people or those who
Correct.
shouldn't be getting guns from getting guns.
I don't
Correct.
think if you're trans that necessarily means that you're a whack job or crazy.
I don't either.
And let me just say this: of all the mass shootings in this country, 0.03% of them are transgender. So,
Right.
so if anybody wants to put out the narrative that if you're trans, you're committing all these mass shootings, it's not true. The point I try to make is that Republicans want to focus on the shooter a few weeks ago in Tennessee being trans instead of the real issues, which are mental health,
Well,
and this
yeah.
person should not have been allowed to purchase a weapon. And then today, this morning, in Louisville, Kentucky, there are 4 families that are grieving, and then there are other families that are worried about their loved ones. And instead of Republicans talking about how this could have happened, it's funny, they're not talking about, boy, we need more security in banks. Isn't it interesting when there's a mass shooting in a
Yeah.
bank? All of a sudden, Republicans aren't talking about we need more security. Guess what? Because there was security in this bank. There were armed security guards in this bank.
Yeah.
There were more technology and more cameras in this bank than almost any other facility in this country. So it has nothing to do with security. And if somebody could walk into a bank and shoot a bunch of innocent people with armed guards and cameras, then stop the nonsense of we need to arm our teachers, because it's not going to help. It's nonsense. And somebody just went into one of the most secure facilities that you can find, which is a bank in this country, and killed a bunch of innocent
Yeah.
people. These Republicans are clowns. They have no solutions to many of the problems in this country. And somebody on social media just said, oh, listen to this guy talk. He has an agenda. You're damn right I have an agenda. Here's my agenda. I don't want innocent people to die. I want gun violence to go down. I don't want somebody to go to work one day and as a teller at a bank and get killed. I don't want kids to be dropped off at school and be killed. I don't want teachers to be going to work and be killed. That's my agenda, and it has nothing to do with politics. I want to lower the gun violence in this country. I don't want innocent people to be gunned down every day, and I don't want this to be the country, the United States of America, which I love, to be one of the top countries with gun violence all over the world. That's my agenda, and that has nothing to do with politics. So for any of you people out there that want to say, Brian has an agenda. Yeah, that's my agenda. I don't want innocent people to die, and I want to lower the gun violence in this country. That's my agenda.
I
Yeah,
think your
amen
agenda
to
also
that.
too that I appreciate is that you actually stick to the facts and you try to remove the descriptions that aren't necessary in these situations. I completely wholeheartedly agree with you that at the end of the day, you don't want to continue to see innocent people die. You don't want to have to deal with talking about a story that just is senseless. And at the end of the day, I don't think people realize that it's getting closer and closer and closer to home. I mean, we just had a situation a few years ago where this happened at a party in Las Vegas. Who wants
Concert,
it?
yep,
A concert.
Yeah.
But I consider that to be a party
Yeah, yeah.
because when you say concert, you think people are just
Sure,
standing
sure,
there. When you're going to a party, a concert, whatever that may be, you're going to have fun. You're going and you're letting your guard down. You're not aware of your surroundings because you're going to party. And you walk into a space, whether that's the party, whether that's the bank, or let's be learned, and you shouldn't have to have your
Sure.
guard up in those spaces
I agree.
whatsoever.
With the recently released letters from the shooter
Yeah.
from 1 October, to me, it was clear he said he was going to do this. And
Right.
if you put that down in words, don't you think there's a mental health issue?
Well, of course, and the shooter from October 1 had a history in his family of mental illness.
Yeah.
Let me go back to, because now people are saying, okay, Brian, I'm with you. You want to lower gun violence in this country. How do you do it? It's exhausting because I've repeated myself over and over again. First of all, if you buy a car, you have to register the car. You have to learn how to drive the car with an instructor sitting next to you. Some people might find that to be difficult, but they check your health, they check your eyesight.
Well,
and then,
before you continue, I want to make sure that we fact check this because a lot of people on TikTok have been going in on you in the comments. What you're saying, and I'll be very clear, is not that when you buy a car, you have to go through training, you have to go through supervision. When you're getting your license, when you're learning how
Correct.
to drive.
Correct.
Because a lot of people in the comments were trying to disenfranchise your comments, and they're saying, well, you don't need a license or
again, those are the
supervision to buy a car.
Those are the same people, by the way, after a mass shooting that put their hands up and have no solutions to any of the problems in this country. I'm going to give you mine. I believe there should be mandatory training when you purchase a gun. I'm not saying you need 100 hours of training, but give me a few hours so somebody at least knows how to hold a weapon and how to shoot it. And people say, well, it's the right to bear arms. Yeah, there's also comes responsibility with the right to bear arms. There should be mandatory training, number one. Number two, I'm going to list like 5. Number 2, raise the age from 18 to 21. And if the argument is, well, wait a second, if you're 18, you could serve in the military. Yeah, because they're trained on how to use the weapons. That's why any 18-year-old could just walk into a gun store with no training and purchase a bunch of AR-15s. I have a problem with that. Number 3, if you sell an illegal gun and you get caught, I want a mandatory prison sentence. Could be 6 months, could be a year. No probation. If you knowingly are selling an illegal gun to somebody, criminal or not, then you need to go to jail. That's number 3. Number 4. I mean, I go on and on here, and I know we're not going to get all this done, but this is the most important one to me, and that is, to me, to have a ban on assault weapons.
Yeah.
Now, this was done in the Bill Clinton era. If you look at the gun violence and where the gun violence was at that time, and then Republicans let that weasel out, or whatever you want to call it, dwindle off in the early 90s, gun violence went back up. It clearly worked. Is it going to end all the gun violence in this country? No.
No.
Nothing I have just listed is going to end all the gun violence in this country. But I guarantee you, if we just do 2 out of those 4 or 2 out of those 5, it will save lives. You see, I have solutions. And all I hear from the right is more guns are the answer. Let's arm our teachers. More guns, more guns, more guns. Good guy with a gun. Well, guess what? Some of the good guys with a gun were injured and almost killed. We have a police officer in critical condition, and they showed up 3 minutes after the first 911 call. So the good guy with a gun doesn't always win.
Right.
We are infatuated with our guns.
But wait, when you talk about the security guards who were there in the situation, they didn't have assault rifles. They didn't have the same type of guns the assailant had. So how do you think a pistol or a baton or a taser is going to work against an assault rifle?
Well, yeah.
That's a good point. And this thing happens so fast, apparently. You're taken kind of by surprise, even if you're a bank guard or whatever. These guys have a revolver, and, they're up against either an assault rifle or an automatic pistol. It's tough. It's
Right.
real tough that way.
And then, guys, the argument I hear from right-wing clowns are Democrats want to take all your guns away. First of all, that is a lie. Second of all, you couldn't name me one Democrat that's in office right now that wants to take all your guns away. To the contrary, Democrats don't want to take all your guns away, and they believe a person should have a right to defend themselves. When they talk about an assault weapons ban, it doesn't mean they want to take away all your guns. You have a right to defend yourself. But people who don't understand policy, and they don't understand having a reasonable conversation, and they might watch Tucker Carlson and they watch him and they believe, oh my God, the Democrats are a threat. They want to take all of our guns away, when literally not one Democrat, including Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, or any of the top Democrats in office, want to take all your guns away. What they talked about are many of the issues that I talked about, an assault weapons ban and other things. That does not mean they want to take all your guns away, and that is a right-wing talking point, and it's a lie to scare you and to buy as many guns as you can.
Well, my question to you, both of you, though, because I've been seeing this a lot on social media, people are saying, well, that's why conceal and carry is a great law to be in place because now you're able to defend yourself in these situations. What's your thoughts? Do you agree with that?
Yes and no. I happen to have a carry permit.
Do you need one in Vegas? You can just have a gun and carry it, right? You don't need a permit, right?
Correct. Correct.
Right.
But some people, I think it's more of a, an ego thing. I see people walking into the market, with a big 45 strapped to their hip, and people are kind of looking, freaks them out a little bit.
It freaks me out.
Yeah.
But what frustrates me too is when I make these statements, because all I want to do is save lives, and somebody will say, well, Brian, you have a liberal ideology. Well, let me tell you something. If you think it's a liberal ideology to want to save lives and want to make this country safer, then you go ahead and call that a liberal ideology. You know what I call that? A human being ideology. A Republican ideology is having no solutions to any of the problems facing this country, including gun violence. More guns are not the answer. Per 100 people, we have 140 guns in this country, so more guns are obviously not the answer.
Right.
If you think it's a liberal ideology to care about other human beings and not want innocent people to die, then you go ahead and call that a liberal ideology. And that's the reason why Republicans are losing these in 2022. And that's why they are losing the popular vote every single year in the presidential election, because you guys have no solutions to any of the problems facing this country, including gun control and another mass shooting. And my thoughts and prayers for the people that are suffering now, that have lost loved ones. We got Dennis.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's horrible. What do you think about Governor Newsom telling DeSantis to pack up and wait?
Interesting. I'm not the biggest Governor Newsom fan, I'll be honest with you. I would take him over Ron DeSanctimonious any day of the week. But I would love to see those two guys get into a debate because I think it would be very entertaining.
Yeah, it would
They're
be.
younger.
Yeah.
Both of them, I will say this, are more well-spoken and educated. It'd be a very interesting debate because I think that Ron DeSantis is probably where most of the Republican Party's at right now. And Governor Newsom is probably where most of the Democrats
Yeah,
are.
Really
absolutely.
quick, I want to
Yeah.
get you guys both informed that the LMPD identifies suspect in Louisville mass shooting as Connor Sturgeon.
Yeah.
He's a 23-year-old bank employee. He was a 23-year-old bank employee at the National Old Bank.
I did
Now-
know that. I do my best to not.
Say the person's name,
it's
yeah.
not. Yeah,
But
because I don't want to give them.
Even still,
Yeah.
the reason I said his name because I actually want to ask you both this question. When we're talking about descriptions and people being trans and Republican and mentally ill, one of the biggest things that we see, and this is a fact, the majority of the mass shooters are Caucasian men. Do you feel like that attacks your demographic at all, makes you all look a little bit different than other
Well,
people?
here's what I'll say to that. When it comes to mass shootings, I don't think this was a white man, by the way. Number one, was
Yes,
it a white
It
man?
was. It was
Okay,
a
I
white
looked.
man.
I looked
That's
at.
why I said it, yeah.
Okay, I looked at the wrong picture then. But
Yeah.
I will say this: I don't think race is a factor in any of these mass shootings. I'll be honest with you. When you look at mass shootings where it seems like there's more than 10 people that are killed, you're right. It usually is white. And then when you look at mass shootings or even shootings, gun violence in general, where it's under 4 people, it's usually not white. It's more black. I don't focus on
Wait,
that.
when you say like just regular
a
shootings,
lot of the shootings in Chicago,
like in general,
gun violence
I'm from
in general.
Chicago, so I understand that. Yeah.
So I try not to focus on that because I don't think that's going to get us anywhere. I don't think
Right.
this has
But
anything.
even though with the smaller scale shootings, those are usually isolated events when it's one-on-one or a bystander got shot
Well,
because it was a gang-related violence.
Perhaps, but but dozens of people seem to be dying in Chicago
No,
every week as
you're,
well.
you're not wrong. But even still with that,
And-
that's what gets to me is I don't understand why guns need to be on the streets in general, whether it's an assault rifle, whether it's a pistol.
Yeah.
And even with you have your gun. Do you feel safer when you have your gun with you? Do you personally feel safer, Dennis?
I do.
You do? And that's the thing, though. I don't want people to have to feel like they even need a gun. I mean, what happened to fist fighting?
Ideally, but
Yeah.
this is the real world.
There's
And-
too many
and,
guns
you
on the
know,
streets.
It's
Yeah.
too many.
There's so
There's
many
more
on
guns
the
than
street.
people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I lived in a really bad area, I can tell you right now, I would own a gun.
Yeah.
I don't have a
Do
problem.
you have one now?
I do not. I
Would
don't,
you ever get one?
If I lived in a really bad area.
So you don't feel like you need one now?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because
What
I
state
feel
of the world now? You don't feel like you need
because in Las Vegas I feel pretty safe, and only one time in my life have I ever been robbed at knife point. I wish I had a gun at that time, and I'll be honest with you, I would have had no problem in shooting that
All
person.
right.
But
I'm honestly, I don't feel safe in general, and also I'm very confused on when is it okay to use your gun in a defensive situation? Because a lot of times I'm hearing that, oh, well, you could have de-escalated the situation before shooting the person. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I'm scared, so I would have shot the person too.
Well, I mean, I think for the most part, Vegas is pretty safe. You could always come
Yeah,
up with
I agree.
situations
I
where
agree.
my point is always more guns are not the answer. Because if more guns were the answer, we have just about more guns than any other country in the world, then why do we have so much gun violence? So you can't make the argument that more guns are the answer. And when you speak to some Republicans, many of them, sadly, that are in Washington, D.C., they'll lead you to believe that more guns are the answer, and that is the opposite. That's like saying more illegal drugs are the answer. It is ridiculous.
Even though public safety has become a real issue here in Las Vegas and Southern Nevada, and most places, obviously, it's still a pretty good place to live.
What we do know is that this is a very serious situation where people have lost lives, and I can't see that from here. But what I will tell you is that we have at least 4 people that have died, and there's an officer that's in critical condition, and it's a very sad situation. And many Republicans on social media today are going along the lines and trying to say that the shooter was a Democrat, and that has nothing to do with this shooting. The shooter didn't go into this bank to kill a bunch of people because they were Republicans. The shooter was deranged, mentally ill, suicidal, and killed some innocent people. And don't give me the argument that we need more security. There were armed guards in this bank, and there were cameras everywhere, a lot of sophistication when it comes to technology, and yet people were still able to be killed. And it's ridiculous. All right.
Honestly, before you move on, I also want to shed light on the people who were killed, just to give my condolences, because I did say the assailant's name. People who lost their lives today were Joshua Barrick, who was 40 years old, Thomas Elliott, who was 63, Juliana Farmer, who was 45, and James Tutt, who was 64. I want to give my deepest condolences to those who were killed and injured and who are still fighting for their lives currently, because this is just a senseless situation, and we shouldn't have to deal with this anymore.
And somebody said, well, it's a mental health crisis. It's not a gun crisis.
It's both. I think it's both. Two things can be true.
It can be both, and if you think it's just mental health, then my response to you, because I think it's an idiotic statement, my response to you is there are mentally ill people all over the world. If that's your take, then why is it that we only have these issues in this country? So you make absolutely and positively no sense.
The argument with that, mostly Republicans and some Democrats will say the gun doesn't shoot itself. It's the person holding it that makes the gun react to what you want to do with it. And that's a very valid point.
It's a valid point, but if somebody is deranged and they want to kill as many people as possible, I would prefer they don't have assault weapon. I'd prefer they didn't have any weapon at all.
I prefer they don't have guns,
but you know, if
I feel safe defending myself against fists and guns.
If it's a pistol was designed to defend yourself, AR-15 style weapons were designed to kill as many people as possible in a short period of time. Hence the assault weapons ban. All right, we got to take a break. He is Dennis Silvers, the golf guru. I didn't want to discuss this for an hour with Dennis. So when we come back, we want to get his golf expertise and talk about a little golf tournament called the Masters when we come back. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment and work injuries, you name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Do you want to take your business to the next level? Then join one of the fastest growing talk shows, Pushing the Limits. We have a wide range of sales packages that can fit your budget. Anything from on-site live remotes to in-studio interviews. Email Jamie at jamiedee@kshp.com. That's JAIMEDEE@kshp.com.
Welcome back to Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro and Jamie D.
All right, welcome back to the show. We got the golf guru Dennis Silvers in studio. He's Jamie D. I'm Brian Shapiro. I want to tell you guys about my good friends, my favorite gaming bar in town, which is Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. They got some great promotions, by the way. Monday is Hot Seat Day. That's today. Chris Wynn's going to like that. Caveman Keno, the Caveman Keno player. Hot Seat Mondays. Basically, if you're playing at a machine, pretty much every 2 hours they give away $25 and then $100 starting at 4 a.m., 8 a.m., 12 p.m. All you got to do is sitting there and be playing, and you can a great chance to win some free slot play. Please check them out. Great food, great atmosphere. Jackson's Bar and Grill. Tell Mr. Brian Slupbach and his beautiful wife Robin that I sent you. We got Dennis Silvers in studio. Jamie, what do you got to tell us?
Yeah, so everybody, I really want to make sure you know we are live on our TikTok and YouTube at PTL Radio Show. All of our social media accounts are PTL Radio Show. That's PTL RADIO SHOW. That's YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Hey, if you're missing out on our behind the scenes on our YouTube, that's really your fault because we're lit right now. On top of that, we have a lot of different viral videos on our TikTok. Please come on, get into the conversation, let us know your thoughts, and yeah, don't forget, we're at PTL Radio Show.
Oh, I love that music. Hi, I'm Jim Nance. And
Brian,
welcome to the Masters. Dennis, please don't interrupt my Jim Nance
I'm
impersonation.
sorry. Yeah, that was.
Hi, my name is Jim Nance, and I like creepy old men. Hello, Dennis Silvers. No, I'm sorry, Dennis. That was so disrespectful. I'm sorry. No, I love the music.
I do too. And I found out yesterday. I was fortunate enough to do sports rap on Channel 8 yesterday with Chris Matthews and Ron Futrell.
Love Chris and Ron.
Told me there are actually lyrics to this, and he played them.
Are the lyrics, we don't allow black people to play there, we don't allow women? Does that have
No, but you don't
okay.
want to hear them. They're so boring, but there's actually lyrics
Boring?
to the song.
I would love to hear those lyrics and then play them on the air. Anyway, Dennis, so much to get to with you with the Masters. I can tell you that, let's start with Tiger, since I'm wearing the Tiger shirt.
All right.
Disrespectful with that shirt.
I'm
Why
not.
the mugshot out of all
I'm like,
things?
what's his name? Dave Portnoy, the guy who runs. He's not a Tiger person either. I do think Tiger's a fraud, even though he's going to
fraud? Why do you think he's a fraud?
For a lot of different reasons. First of all, I think he took steroids. I think he cheated. When you look at his body, and he's like Bryson DeChambeau. And he's a fraud the way he's lived his life. He in the media, Mr. Too Good Goody Shoes, and he's just not a good person. But anyway, I think it's, even though he made the cut, what he's doing to his body, and he withdrew, and I understand the rain delays didn't help. And,
No,
and
absolutely.
I get that, but just put an end to it, dude. It's painful to watch.
Put it into what? His
career?
Golf career, yeah.
Everybody,
Yeah.
two things.
Get rid of the Masters music now. I've had enough of that. That's stupid.
Oh my God! There's Jim Nance walking into the
stiff.
Anyway,
Stupid song.
I might be wrong, but I think the only reason that Tiger made the cut, I think he has to really thank his really good friend JT. I think he screwed up on purpose, so Tiger makes the cut. I think Tiger shouldn't have played in the first place and should have given a spot to somebody else. And it wasn't a story with CBS. He wasn't a story, and Phil wasn't a story, and I was amazed at that, Brian.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with live golf, which we will get to. But let me ask you this, Dennis: do you think this is the end of Tiger Woods' career?
Well, yeah.
You don't think he's going to play in another?
Well, everybody, my friends are telling me, you know what? Tiger is going to play on the senior tour. Why? Because number one, he gets to use a cart. Number two, he wants to keep the wins coming, keep boosting his legacy and all that stuff.
Keep his name in the headlines.
I don't see it. And unless they throw him a hell of a lot of money, you know, who's really hurts the most when he doesn't play are the networks. You know that.
I don't think Tiger cares about being in the headlines. I think the reason why Tiger would play for one reason only, competition.
It's not
greed.
He's a celebrity. So at the end of the day, you have to remember he needs to keep his name in the headlines to get the money. That's what keeps him smiling.
That's true. But what gets me about him, every time they interview him before a tournament, how you doing? Oh, God, I'm playing great. I'm hitting the ball good. I'm putting good. You know, I'm playing with my friends at home, you know, and every time before he tees off an event, he's always playing great. What happens? Nothing.
Well, his health deteriorates his leg over the course of several days. And I will also say that, no, for Tiger, even though he's very cheap and it's not.
Now you got to be cheap.
Not, well, he is, but it's not greed with Tiger. I don't think he cares about the money playing on tour. No, he makes $250 million from Nike.
And rich people want to stay rich. They don't want to lose their money.
Well,
at any point, Tiger could put his foot in his mouth and lose all those sponsorships.
Right, but Jamie, he makes about 5% of his money from golf tournaments. 5%.
Right, but do you know how he gets his name out there and continues to get sponsors? Because of the golf tournament.
Right, but it's not going to get any better.
Tiger Woods is washed out at this point. He's getting to be washed out at this point. His name doesn't carry as much weight as it used to in the past.
But he's not getting his name out by playing in golf tournaments anymore. He's not winning. He's not in contention anymore. So my point is, he's received that money, and he will continue to receive that money, just like Michael Jordan's been retired forever. He's not playing basketball, but he's still receiving money from Nike. I can tell you right now, I will defend Tiger on this. He's not doing this for the money. He's doing it because he's the ultimate competitor, and he wants to win. It's just not going to happen anymore. That's my opinion, right?
I agree with you totally. And he's got to, obviously most of these guys, when you're an athlete like that, or was, I mean, the ego is tremendous, obviously. You love the adulation, but it just, he came so close. I had Frank Nobilo on my show a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, he was a good player.
Great guy.
Doesn't he do Golf Channel stuff? Does he still do that?
Yeah, and he was very close to Tiger, and he told me, he said, Dennis, I am telling you, Tiger came within an inch of having to have his foot amputated. So he's lucky he's still got it connected.
I agree. And listen, Tiger can do whatever he wants, but when I watch this, I'm just going to say it, man. I think it's a little bit selfish. I mean, think about your family. Think about your kids. Yeah. He is ruining his body, and his leg is going to get amputated if he keeps doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
He couldn't even pick up the golf ball when it was in the hole.
I know.
Now, you both are you're professionals in this field. As it pertains to golf itself, I mean, they're just walking and stuff. What's the pressure he's putting on his leg currently?
Walking.
But he's walking. He has to walk his regular life. I mean, of course, he probably isn't going to walk as much as he does in regular life.
Okay, but in a normal golf course, Dennis, maybe you could help me with this. You're walking 6 to 7 miles a day.
Right.
Is that accurate?
Right. Yeah.
So on a 4-day golf tournament, assuming
he
makes about 6 to 7 miles a day. On a 4-day golf tournament, and by the way, Augusta National is one of the most difficult golf courses to walk.
Augusta's very lumpy and bumpy. You don't see it on TV, but it is.
You're walking anywhere between 20 to 30 miles. We're not talking about walking 20 feet into a restaurant.
Right.
So listen, Tiger can do whatever he wants. I think it's difficult to watch, and I think it's about time he took a break. Now, if he wants to play on the senior tour in a cart, let him do it. Knock yourself out. But it should be done now. It was very, very – and listen, he made the cut. I give him all – I didn't think he was going to make the cut.
Oh, I didn't either.
Let's talk about other things that I didn't think were going to happen. And I made a mistake. When Brooks Koepka was up 4, heading into the weekend, and it was like halfway through the third round, I said to myself, this guy Brooks Koepka is healthy.
Yeah.
He's playing well.
Yep.
I don't think anybody's going to catch him.
Yep.
And here's what I didn't take into account. Brooks Koepka has been on the LIV Tour. He hasn't had, and I know he's had his injuries.
Oh, here it comes. He's not used to playing 4 rounds. That's garbage.
No, that's not
garbage.
That's not what I was going to say.
Okay.
That's not what I was going to say. What I was going to say is he hasn't really had any real pressure in a couple of years. Is he used to pressure in a major? Yes. The guy's won what? 3 majors? 4. So he is. But when you haven't been in that situation in a couple of years, and he hasn't, I think that played a role. I think he felt the pressure. I think Brooks Koepka felt. Now, if Brooks Koepka was on the PGA Tour, this is my personal opinion, I think he wins that golf tournament. When you're on the LIV Tour and there's no cut, and for a couple of years you don't have a care in the world, I think that played a role. Jon Rahm has stuck on the PGA Tour. He's been in those pressure situations, fighting to win majors. And I believe, to me, that was the factor on the weekend. Thursday, Friday, there's not a lot of pressure. If Koepka doesn't make the cut, it's not the end of the world. You're up 4 in the Masters, okay? I just feel like, to me, that was the factor.
I think the only reason he did not win, Brian, is because of the delay after the third round. The momentum went a little bit. He had a couple of bad breaks, and he kind of imploded. You've got to give it to Jon Rahm, though.
Sure.
World-class players.
He played
won the
phenomenal.
U.S. Open.
Yep.
The guy did what he needed to do as far as just hitting it in the fairway, getting it on the green. He rolled the ball beautifully.
Jon Rahm played phenomenal
He
golf.
played phenomenal
He really
golf.
didn't have one bad swing all day.
No, he played phenomenal golf. But what really bugged me is when he's hugging Jose Maria all the time. Oh, Seve, this is for you. That's garbage. What's it for Seve?
You're not a
dude?
Seve Ballesteros fan. You never were? No?
I know people that
Yeah.
have done business with Seve. Seve was known for never putting his hand in his pocket. I mean, he was cheap. He was tighter than a nun's crotch, for crying out loud.
I'll leave that one alone.
We did this
But-
for Seve. Garbage.
Well, going back to, I can't speak to that, but yes, Jon Rahm, well-deserved.
Oh, yeah.
The thing about Rahm is when it doesn't go well for him, mentally he struggles to come back, but I will
Right.
give him credit. The first hole of the Masters, he had a double
Double?
bogey, and he came right back.
Yep.
So congratulations to Jon Rahm. I think what you said is true. I think we both can be right. Where playing on the LIV Tour might have hurt him a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Well-
the stoppages and the delays also hurt it as well. I think maybe it was a mixture of the
I
two.
get a kick out of the people that say, "Oh, there has-beens on the LIV Tour, and
Yeah.
blah, 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 that's why they're that." Really? Well, three LIV Tours
listen,
were in the top 5 of the Masters.
I think the
Thank
LIV
you very much.
I'm not going to defend the LIV Tour because I think the LIV Tour is a joke. If players want to go over there and make a lot of money, that's their prerogative. I don't like these players that are bashing the PGA Tour. Just go over there and shut up. With that said, the LIV Tour doesn't have cuts. I have no respect
Right.
for a tour that doesn't have cuts. They're making boatloads of money. There's no pressure. The great thing about golf is what we saw on Sunday afternoon at the Masters.
Right.
It's something called pressure.
Right.
And it's to me, it's reality TV at its best. You have guys that are
reality
playing
TV.
for $3 to $4 million to try to win a green jacket, which most golfers will never get the opportunity to even have a
Right.
chance to do.
Right.
It's real pressure. The LIV Tour has no pressure. Yes, 18th hole on a Sunday afternoon when you're trying to win a LIV tournament, yeah, there's some pressure there. But when you have tons of money
Sure.
to begin with, it's not the same as the PGA Tour. What I've always loved about the PGA Tour is players try to keep their PGA Tour card. You have to make cuts. You have to have results. The LIV Tour does not do that, and it's why I have no respect for it. Going back to the Masters, though, Rory McIlroy is the number 3 golfer in the world. At least he was. The guy doesn't even make the cut. He was one of the favorites to win this thing.
Sure.
What do you make of that?
Very surprising. Like most people think, DeChambeau didn't make the cut. JT, a lot of really good players.
Mm-hmm.
But you know as well as I do, that's golf. You never know what's going to happen.
Right.
And it was kind of satisfying in the sense that, Tiger and Rory really are the two faces of the tour, when it comes to defending that. And to have Rory, not make it, you wonder why. But again, that's the game. He's not going to play next week because of that. And, I have a different feeling about the LIV Tour. As you know, I'm friends with Patrick Reed. He had a great tournament.
Not a very well-liked guy.
Yeah, that is true, unfortunately.
Cheating scandals, lawsuit against the PGA Tour.
Not the cheating scandals.
Yes, but
Hey, Brian, I know we're going to be running out of time soon. Do you want to get in some callers? And we have people who want to call in and join the
if
conversation.
they want to talk some golf, I'll
Yeah.
be happy to
we
do
have,
that.
We have somebody
Sure.
who actually disagrees with some of the comments you're making
Sure.
about Tiger Woods.
All right, let's
they're
do
on
it.
the line now. I think the first person we have currently is Edward.
All right, Edward, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How y'all doing? Hey, Jamie.
Good. What's up, Edward?
All right, Edward, what's your beef with me and Tiger Woods? Go ahead.
Tell them the
Oh,
truth,
dude,
Edward.
where do we begin?
Yeah.
Where do we begin? Like, okay, let's just start from the top. You know what? If he did drugs, so what? Who cares? You know,
Who
like,
cares? It's
Who
cheating.
cares, Edwards? That's
How
cheating.
can you?
cares?
So if you have 95% of the people, let's assume on the PGA Tour that are not cheating, and then you have a few people that are, you don't have a problem with that?
I think no, I don't have a problem. If it makes the game better and
don't?
it enhances
Edward?
the performance of people, I'm down.
Okay,
I have
but
to
it's
say a
not
lot
an
of-
equal playing field, though. You're okay with
Yeah.
people cheating? That's cheating.
If they're taking drugs
And
and
if
I'm not, and they're beating me, that's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, if people, if people are doing things, to help themselves and improve their performance, I say why not? Not everyone's playing on an easy.
Okay,
on the
so
same
by
page
your
anyway.
hold on. By your standards, you'd be okay with hold on. You'd be okay with
Go
somebody,
ahead.
you'd be okay with somebody walking into a Las Vegas casino and using a cheating device like they used in casino. If it helps you and it makes you better, it makes you a better blackjack player. Don't worry about the cheating
Absolutely.
part. Well,
Absolutely, casinos cheat all the time.
So you're
Absolutely.
so
Why
you're
can't I
Edward,
get
that
an
makes
advantage?
no sense.
So
You
you're
want
okay.
to give the
Why can't I
person
get an
who's
advantage?
so if I had
using
an
drugs
I
to
would take an
leverage,
advantage.
so
what?
so
I was taking advantage all day.
so you're okay with somebody basically breaking the law? Then that's really what you're saying.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't
Well,
think
that's what you're saying.
That's
If you,
what it is breaking the law, Edward.
if you walk into a casino with a
breaking
device,
the rules,
that's
but not
cheating.
breaking the law.
If you walk into a
Okay.
casino with a device, it's cheating. If you take performance-enhancing drugs and there are rules and guidelines you have to follow on the PGA Tour, you're okay with them breaking those rules and regulations. It's cheating. You're okay
You're
with
increasing
cheating.
your odds.
Increasing
Absolutely,
your
you're putting-
odds.
All right,
Edward,
we're obviously going to agree to disagree on this. A guy like
We're
a
gonna
Jack
have to.
a guy like a Jack Nicklaus with no evidence to prove that he ever took performance-enhancing drugs, I'll take his career over Tiger Woods any day of the week.
Wait, Dennis, what do you think?
how
What's
about-
your thoughts? Hold on, before we move on, Edward, what's your thoughts, Dennis?
Good. Mine?
I totally agree with Brian. You can't cheat.
Right.
You're going to be a professional.
Yeah.
You can't cheat.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Sure.
All right, next. Where else do you disagree with me on Tiger? I think you lost.
Isn't his shirt
lost
so
that.
disrespectful, Edward? Look at his shirt. Isn't his shirt
I
disrespectful?
think your shirt's a little too big. Your shirt's a little too big, but
That's fine. All right. Number 2, Edward. I think you lost that first
All
one,
right.
but go ahead.
All right.
Next.
All right. The second one is, I think Tiger, for all the bad things he's done, he's done a lot of good things for the sport too. He's when he was
Absolutely.
younger, he pushed it.
Yes, I agree.
Right.
But Edward, where have I said he hasn't done a lot of good things for the sport? Of course he has. I agree with you.
Yeah. You're kind of focusing on the middle part where he's messed up a lot, and where you're focusing he screwed up, he did drugs, he cheated. But we're
Tiger-
not looking at the whole career. We're not. looking at the
Tiger
whole
has
career,
had
you know what I
an
mean?
unbelievable Hall of Fame career. Regardless of
Yeah.
cheating or not, he's going to go down as one of the best, if not the best golfer
100%.
of all time. I'm simply pointing out he's not Mr. Goody-Good Two-Shoes. I don't root for him.
No, of course not.
I haven't rooted for him since the cheating scandal where he was slept with hundreds of women. He's a bad role model, and he's not a good guy. And by the way, that accident he got in, by the way, he's had a couple. He's had one DUI
Yeah.
for sure, and then they don't check his blood for that latest accident. I'm not buying the fact that he just fell asleep at the wheel. He was on something. He could have killed innocent
Done
people. And
drugs.
guess what? I choose not to root for people who play Russian roulette with society, and Tiger Woods has now done that twice. He did it to himself, and I don't feel sorry for him at all.
No, during
So
the
that-
interview,
I have-
during the interview afterwards, a lot of people posted that he was hopped up on painkillers.
I'm
the way
sure he
looked
was.
and the way he talked.
I'm
Yeah.
sure he was. Yep. Okay, so
have
we
to-
agree
okay.
on that. We agree, Edward,
sure.
that he's done a tremendous amount for the game of golf. Where else do you disagree
Yeah.
with me on?
I think he's going to make a great VH1 special because we're going to talk about his ups, his downs. He's going to make a great
VH1?
Wasn't there already a
about
documentary on
his life.
Tiger Woods?
There was a documentary.
Is there?
It didn't.
Yeah, there already is one.
Yeah, it didn't. It
Was
wasn't.
it good?
It was good,
it
but
good?
I've had people from that documentary on the show. It didn't paint the picture of a lovely family and Tiger Woods being a very nice person.
Yeah, it told the actual truth.
Oh, okay.
And
I mean, so go ahead, Jamie. I'm
Well,
sorry.
Edward, do you consider Tiger Woods a hero? Because how you're describing him, you seem like you're really fanboying over him right now.
I wouldn't call him a hero. I would call him a man that had a gift. He used it and he abused it at times.
Let me ask you this: can you remove somebody's gift from who they are as a person? So what I mean by
Not
that
God.
is, if Tiger Woods was and excuse my language, like a child molester,
Yeah.
but a great golfer,
Ooh.
would you still support him?
Don't
No,
talk about
100%.
that. Don't talk about Dennis like that. Come on.
But would you still support him?
the only thing I do, I keep posting.
Yeah.
As soon as Erica Herman wins her $30 million, I said, Erica,
what?
please move out.
You know what, Tiger?
Please move out.
You know
here
what
with
Tiger's?
me.
You know what
Wait,
Tiger's?
wait,
You know what
Edward.
Tiger's gift was?
Yeah.
He had a father that was demented, that tied golf clubs to his wrist at 2 years old,
Yeah.
forced him to play golf every day. And I am not going to sit here and say Tiger didn't have the talent, because obviously he did, but he had crazy parents.
Yep.
That he had no childhood. And let me tell you something, you never get those years back. And I'll take all the fame and all the money that Tiger Woods has, and I'll pass it over having a normal childhood. Tiger never had a normal childhood. It's why he's a little crazy. And, Andre Agassi talks about that in his childhood as well. Tiger Woods had crazy parents.
Yeah.
And there's more to life than just golf, Edward. Well, I'll give you the last word, then we got
Oh,
Wait,
100% agree.
I want Edward to answer that question, though. Can you remove somebody's lifestyle from their skill?
That's where I was going with that. I think when we look at history, we'll look at two sides to everybody. We'll look at their career and then outside of their career. And then it'll be up to each individual to figure out what their own interpretation of that person was.
Fair enough. Edward, I appreciate you calling in, my friend.
Thanks,
Thank
Edward.
you.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate it.
Hey, y'all have a great week. All right, guys?
Thank you,
for
man.
calling.
You too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, bye, guys. Peace.
See ya. 702-221-7283. And again, that number if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. Dennis, there were some other big names at the top. Jordan Spieth played well over the weekend.
Very well.
Surprised that Phil Mickelson played as well as he did. I think it's his knowledge of the golf course. So he knows the course so well.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big.
Well, when he does, when you're a three-time winner, obviously, you really. One thing I forget, Brian, I don't know if you agree with me. A lot of people disagree that having familiarity with the course isn't a big deal. I think it is a big deal.
Huge.
Number two, you've got to obviously have a good short game. And number three, you've obviously have to, keep it in the fairway most of the times. But I think what's really overlooked, Brian, is you've got to be a very, very good iron player to help win that golf.
Well, it's about
tournament.
yardages, because if you're 5 yards off on these greens, it could roll over.
It could be
the green.
brutal.
Yeah.
You got to be a good iron player.
You have to have a great caddy.
Yeah.
You have to get great
True,
yardages.
true.
I think that's really important in this golf. You have to be able to control your wedges.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think that's really important. Jon Rahm is arguably the best player in the world right now. He's got a phenomenal short game.
Yeah.
He hits the ball a mile. His temper sometimes, I wonder what would have happened, and it didn't, if he hit a couple shots astray yesterday, because he's got a temper. I've watched him in person. He mumbles to himself and he swears. And
what I like, somebody sent me a preview of the dinner they're going to have next year, which I think is well, they're going to have Tommy's Taco Truck out there. It's going to be a very casual deal. Chips and salsa, burritos, tacos. Why not?
I do like the fact that the Masters, they do sell burgers for like $3 or $4. And
seriously,
they do actually.
You could get chips. You could get the pimento cheese thing, and a drink for under
$3?
for under $5.
It's the one good thing.
Wait, and the golfers have to pay for this too?
Do you have to be white, or can you be black and buy a hamburger there?
Good question.
I don't know
but
the
you know
answer.
what? Do you agree with me when watching it? I thought there was an inordinate amount of people there, Brian.
Yeah,
They
there
had
was.
so many people there. It was unreal.
More people than usual, which I
Than
like.
usual,
actually.
yeah.
I like that. And then if you're a member, you get to go inside the ropes and
Oh, yeah.
prance around. That I
Yeah.
don't like. But you're right. They did have
Unbelievable amount of people.
You're right.
Every hole.
They did have some great crowds. I agree with you, and that was fun. And it was fun to see all the best players in the world in the same tournament. The Live Tour, say what you want about it, it's not good for golf. Having two separate tours, you want to have the best fields every week.
Yeah, and also they have less holes than the PGA tournament. So
no, for a tournament,
Well, they only
do.
play 54
Yeah, 54.
holes,
I
but
mean,
I really do think after this, and with the lawsuits going and this and that, I think they're going to come together some way, somehow,
Yeah.
and,
So
kind of do a deal.
This is amazing because I didn't know this, and I just learned that I was very close to my estimation of how long you walk on a golf course. Numchuck gave me the stats here: 13,905 steps, 5.81 miles. I said around 6 miles. I was pretty close, and that's just 18 holes. So you do the math. Tiger's walking close to 24 miles
have a golf
on
cart
one
for
leg.
him?
Well, you're not allowed to have a golf cart on the PGA Tour. In fact, it was Tiger Woods that was against golf courts on the PGA Tour.
Right.
How do you feel about that? What do you think?
a tour event?
With a golf cart, if you have a lot of if you had an injury, you
I
don't.
mean, you have to be inclusive to people with disabilities.
Yeah.
Remember Casey Martin?
Casey
He
Martin
just had
with
his leg
amputated.
Wait, Dennis,
Yeah.
but do you believe that that's going to make it easier for those with disabilities versus those who are actually not disabled? Do you feel like that's going to create an unfair playing field?
Absolutely would make it easier. Totally.
Would it create
Yeah,
an
I
unfair-
don't know
would it
if
create an
that's ever
unfair
going to
playing field,
happen.
though?
I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I doubt it. But having a cart,
It's a big advantage.
Big advantage.
You know, golf has turned so physical in a sense
Yeah.
that maybe in the 80s it wasn't the same, but in these days, you look at the best golfers in the world, including a John Rahm or a Brooks Koepka. These are guys that are in tip-top physical condition. And to be one of the best players in the world, Rory McIlroy, another one, to be one of the best players in the world, you have to be in really good physical condition, and that's part of being a professional golfer.
True.
And it's turned into a physical game now, whereas back in the day, maybe it wasn't as physical now.
Are you for the rollback on the ball like the USGA and RNA wants? I think it sucks.
I think the USGA is an absolute joke. This is where I'll agree with Justin Thomas. I think these rollbacks are stupid. Let the players use any golf ball they want to use. The USGA is not making golf better. In my opinion, they make it worse.
Yep.
And I'm with, even though I don't agree with Justin Thomas on almost anything, I do agree with him on this one. I think they're getting involved way too much. Just leave it alone.
You know, the tour players are against it. The ball manufacturers are against it. A lot of people are against it. But I think it's going to happen, unfortunately.
Probably.
And I don't think it's going to affect them that much.
Probably not. I agree with you. Well, Dennis, before we let you go, and I appreciate you, the hour goes by
Dennis,
so
this was
fast.
So quick.
You got to come back.
Before I let you go, give out that information about your podcast and what you got going on.
Well, the golf I do a number of shows, but the golf podcast, a 19th hole podcast for golfers, very original. Every Thursday, we do a live video podcast.
Nice.
That's done on Facebook Live, and then it's uploaded to various platforms, and we just have a ball doing the show.
I like it.
At noon every Thursday.
Hey. Me and Dennis got to get out there on the links and play some golf. It's been way too long.
Yeah, Dennis, can you teach me how to play golf?
Oh,
I've only
boy.
been to Top Golf.
I don't know if I'd want Dennis.
You want to? Have you played?
No, I played Top Golf.
I might be going to Top Golf this weekend.
I love Top Golf.
I don't know if Dennis has the patience to teach somebody how to play golf.
Dennis, question: do you drink?
Yeah.
Do you drink while playing golf?
Oh no, no.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
All right.
No, but Top Golf's expensive.
Yeah, it is.
Come on.
It is.
It is very
What are you
expensive.
going for over the
I
weekend?
go on a date. I go on a date.
Oh, you go on a
You
date.
have to
All
give
right.
us the dates, updates.
Well, I might be going there this week at some point, Dennis.
Does she play
Is it?
golf?
Is it with
I
somebody
have
I know?
to teach her. That's somebody that I don't mind teaching.
Wait, but you won't teach me? Rude. Do
Maybe
I have to put on a wig for you to teach me, Brian?
no. Maybe
There's a difference.
I won't be. I
I
won't
can
be.
put on a wig for you, Brian.
I won't be getting up close and personal with you, standing behind
Oh yeah,
you.
I'd rather you not. I'd rather you not.
Dennis might do that, but that wouldn't be my style.
I help you out.
I
He'll help.
appreciate it.
Dennis is a nice guy. He'll give you a lesson. Dennis just doesn't put up with any crap on the golf course. I've seen it before. It's very entertaining.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dennis, thank you so much.
Oh,
for
my
being
pleasure,
Dennis.
guys. Love
Always
it.
good to see-
Anytime.
Good to see you.
Anytime.
Good to see you, Dennis. Let's get on the links this
Yep,
weekend.
yep.
All right, my friend. That's Dennis Silvers, everybody, the golf guru. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, the guru who gets every sports bet wrong, Chris Wynn, will be joining us in the studio.
The win.
We're going to have some fun with C. Wynn. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Oh yeah.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Welcome to Hash House A Go-Go, where we've been serving farm food and crafted cocktails for over 2 decades. Visit us for the full Hash House experience at any of our 5 Las Vegas locations. Hash House A Go-Go is where old school meets new and gets twisted. We bring people together over good food and fun. Come in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and come hungry because our portions are huge. Visit us online to see our entire menu at hashhouseagogo.com. Hash House A Go-Go. It's a Midwest thing, and there's nothing else like it. Welcome to Hash.
Is your dog suffering from a sensitive stomach? Hi, it's Kelly the Cookie Lady from Mooch's Munchies. Our dogs had super sensitive tummies, and I needed to find a low-fat treat that wouldn't give them gas or other issues. Most of the treats on the market were loaded with fillers, chemicals, and chicken fat. Many of them weren't even food. Well, I knew I could do better, so I developed Mooch's Munchies, and I'm happy to be able to share them with you. Stop by our store or our website, moochesmunchies.com, and find out why we say that Mooch's Munchies are totally pawsome.
Zen World Premium CBD offers full and broad spectrum CBD oil, extracts, and capsules which are designed to help you feel your best. Their products are sourced from the best organic hemp and natural ingredients on the market and are tested for quality, purity, and potency. They have a full range of items from health and wellness to beauty to pets. Call 725-205-9223. Visit online at zenworld.com or stop by their location at 9895 South Maryland Parkway and Silverado Ranch Parkway. Mention KSHP for 10% off in store or use code KSHP online for 15% off.
Locally owned and operated, come on down to Academy of Hair Design located at 5191 West Charleston Boulevard, number 150, today to begin your career in cosmetology. There is something for everyone from cosmetology to nail technology. You will be able to have the hands-on training that is needed to succeed in this career field. Call 702-878-1185 or visit www.ahdvegas.com today.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Pushing the Limits live on KSHP and live on all of our social media channels. If you're not following us at PTL Radio Show, you are missing out. That's PTL RADIOSHOW. I want you all to know that we have the best behind the scenes in any radio show you can ever watch or listen to. Make sure to follow us on all social media accounts. What's up, Brian?
All right. Well, coming back, hour number 2. My thanks to Dennis Silvers for joining us. We're continuing to monitor the latest details, of course, in this shooting in Louisville, Kentucky at this bank where at least, sadly, 4 people have lost their lives and plenty of people, sadly, have been injured. 1 police officer in critical condition, and the right continues to want to emphasize that the shooter was a Democrat, which has absolutely nothing to do with the story. This was not politically motivated. Nobody has said that. To the contrary, if somebody does, then I'll happily talk about it. But we will continue to monitor that situation. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, C. Wynn, joining us in the studio.
Win!
Yes.
Good to be here, guys.
What's poppin', Win?
We got to get your mic on, though.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Happy Monday. I'm kind of upset. It's great to see the golf guru here live in
Yes.
studio. I'm upset that I didn't get a chance to get in on the Tiger Woods bashing.
Wait, do you
went
play
down.
golf, Chris?
I
Not
play
very well.
it, not very good though.
Does Chris do anything
But I go
well
out
to you,
there on the
Brian?
course occasionally. Yeah. But
you really do nothing good for Brian.
Well,
Hope
wait a
you know
second. Listen, before we get into
Right.
some serious topics, give me your opinion. Do you disagree with some of the things I said about Tiger Woods?
I think that Tiger absolutely, positively has issues, and I think that he's someone who has made numerous mistakes in the past. But at this point in his career, I'm kind of in the camp of just let bygones be bygones and let him go on with his life, and I kind of hope for the best for him and his family mostly, right? I think about Charlie, I think about Sam, I think about his family, right?
They're going to be
when it comes
just
to
fine.
that.
They're going to be
and
fine.
and there's no question that Tiger is going to have physical issues the rest of his life, right? And you guys talked about obviously the details of what he's facing as far as that goes. So I wouldn't necessarily be on board with the just absolutely lambasting the guy. That being said, yes, there have been numerous mistakes that he has made in the public eye. I think there's a little bit of element when I think of Tiger Woods to Michael Jackson. And I'm not trying to talk about, exact details. I'm talking about, his life, right? And you kind of mentioned it in the last segment, talking about his father and the approach to golf. And Tiger Woods was essentially a machine, and so I think about that. I do have a little more compassion, I think, for Tiger than a lot of people. And so, therefore, that's why I kind of take that approach.
I don't wish Tiger any ill will. I just
Right.
think it was kind of painful to watch him play this weekend, and I think he should probably take a break from golf. That's just my personal opinion. But I want to move on, Chris, and I want to talk to you about a story that the day after Easter, this story comes out, and you hear a lot from the far right, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, for example, that call all Democrats pedophiles. They think Democrats are basically grooming our children. You've heard this argument before. We even talked about it yesterday at
It's
your
a
house.
narrative, yeah.
Yeah, the narrative that Democrats are pedophiles and Joe Biden's a pedophile, and that if you groom, they're grooming kids and the cross-dressers or whoever that are reading books to children. Okay, so here's a story you won't hear from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Here's a story you won't hear from Republicans. And we've heard this story before, sadly. The pastor of a Roman Catholic parish in Maryland that was apparently home to dozens of priests who sexually abused children. Yes, Reverend Santosh George made the announcement of his homepage, and they covered this story up for years. That allegedly, and it appears as though they covered up the sexual abuse of more than 600 children for over a half century.
What?
On the 156 priests in the report,
What?
12 served, which were founded in 1888 about 10 miles west of the Baltimore and downtown. In the note to his flock, he did not say how many of the 600 victims accounted for in the report were part or current parishioners. But here's the point I'm trying to make here, and I'll say it again. You hear from these alt-right QAnon freaks like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, or any of those people on the right that say that Democrats are grooming our kids and Democrats are pedophiles. In fact, it was Marjorie Taylor Greene, I believe, on 60 Minutes last week, who made the ridiculous statement that all Democrats are pedophiles.
Right.
Then why is it? And again, I would never go
All
on the,
Democrats.
I
Make
would
that blanket statement.
and I would never go on the air and say that all Republicans are pedophiles. I would never make that statement. There are Democrats.
shouldn't.
There are Democrats that are pedophiles. There are Republicans that are pedophiles. However, we've heard this story before when it comes to churches and priests. And do I think all priests are child molesters? Absolutely not. I would never generalize like Marjorie Taylor Greene does. But we've heard these stories on and on again where priests that, in these churches have molested kids. 600 kids molested. They tried to, and last I checked, those that are priests are usually those that are on the right, the alt-Christian right. Why doesn't Marjorie Taylor Greene say that Republicans are pedophiles?
She's not going to. She wants to save her base. She wants to keep that public image up. She doesn't want anything negative to be done about her or to be said about her or the Republican Party. She thinks they're all saying and all knowing, and she doesn't want anything bad to be done to them.
And keep in mind, guys, this is juxtaposed against the backdrop that we have right now, right? You just brought up Marjorie Taylor Greene and Republicans when they make absurd comments like that, where they just generalize about all either Democrats or people on the left. It's juxtaposed against the situation that that has kind of come up now because we just had someone who happens to be a trans individual that was involved in a mass shooting, and this discussion that trans people reading stories in story time to children. You talk to some on the right, and some people in America, they say, well, that's grooming of children. That's that's dangerous to America's youth to have these people reading to them. It's a hypocrisy. It's a moment of hypocrisy. That's why we're bringing up this case with the situation with the priests. it's a hypocrisy in which, an institution that's supported by many on the right and many evangelicals, right?
Yeah.
When I'm talking about the church and that being involved, and that's actual people, kids being affected. That's actual sexual abuse taking place. That's juxtaposed against this idea that trans individuals, or as you said with MTG, with calling Democrats pedophiles, that's put up against that. The idea that people reading stories because they're in drag is somehow detrimental to the youth of America. And then you juxtapose it against, you put it up against something like this story with the Catholic priest. And by the way, this isn't just the first one. There's been a number of these
And by
stories
the way,
in the last 25 years
let me-
that have risen and that have been real. It's again the ultimate hypocrisy that we're talking about.
When somebody disagrees with me because they don't live in reality, they say I have a narrative.
You have an agenda, Chris.
Well, let me explain.
Yeah,
let me explain. I don't want children to be molested, just like I don't want kids to be gunned down by guns. Now, if you want to call that a narrative, then there's something wrong with you. I guess my narrative is I don't want children abused or dead. So yeah, there's my narrative. That's number one. Number two, there are people out there that have said, oh, then why is it okay to call all Republicans racist? Never once in my 20-year career on the radio, because that's what these MAGAs do. They'll put words in my mouth, things that I've never said, and you know that.
Well, they do it to me too. When you and I have been on shows,
Right.
Yeah. Well,
they
gotta
say, we lie. Chris, you and Brian Shapiro, you guys are liars. You lie about this and lie about that, but they never can come up with a lie.
So
you can never come up with one.
I agree.
Ever.
So to finish my point, I have never said that all Republicans are racist. That is a lie being put forth by MAGAs. What I have said is, and I will continue to say, there are some Republicans that are racist. Yes, I do believe Donald Trump is racist. There are some Democrats that are probably
Absolutely.
racist.
100%.
Okay, so it can happen on both sides. I just point out some of the bigger named Republicans that happen to be racist, in my opinion. That doesn't mean I would ever say that all Republicans are racist, or what Marjorie Taylor Greene says, that one party is a party of pedophiles. There are pedophiles on the left, there are pedophiles on the right. But here's what you won't hear on Fox News. You won't hear this on Newsmax or OAN. This story of the Roman Catholic Church, where apparently over 600 kids were molested by priests, but yet you won't hear this story. You know why? Because I guess it wasn't a liberal or a Democrat that committed these atrocities. So you won't hear this story on Fox News. However, if this was a liberal or a Democrat, I guarantee you Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham would be leading with this story to make
They'll be talking about it nonstop.
Right.
They'd be addressing it, hour upon hour upon hour on Fox News. And those other nobody outlets that you just talked about that nobody really cares about. So, I mean, look, it's, again, hypocrisy. That's what we're talking about here. You know, the idea that this story and others like it that have transpired over the past 4 decades that we've heard about, right, and that actually do affect real people, real kids are actually being sexually abused. And then you got this idea out there that the right and Republicans and MTG and all these idiots out there that want to say, well, our kids are being damaged because, somebody in drag is reading to them in some public place. It's just so horrible for America's youth. How can we do that? It's just so beyond the pale and ridiculous that, it's very frustrating to even talk about.
When somebody like a Marjorie Taylor Greene says all Democrats are pedophiles, and when she's pressed on making a ridiculous statement like that, she responds by talking about how Democrats are grooming our kids. I don't know how I could even have a conversation with somebody like that because it's so ridiculous.
Well, here's the deal, Brian, on Marjorie Taylor Greene. We're giving her too much attention. Yeah. Look, I get it. She's an elected public official. She's someone who's a firebrand, who is loud, who is boisterous, but she is not very intelligent. She's not somebody who should be paid attention to, quite frankly. I mean, she just isn't. I understand there's people out there, oh, she's an elected official. She has a right, just as much a right as anybody else to be heard and to vote. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. But she's made it abundantly clear time and time again that she is a piece of you-know-what garbage human being. And there are numerous instances. You talk about people who are racist, right? And look, there's some people that don't say anything, and so you don't really know if they're racist or not. That's not the case with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah. With Marjorie Taylor Greene, she gives us direct evidence that she is racist. Yep. She says things that are absolutely absurd and beyond the pale all the time. So with respect to her, I have zero respect for her as a person whatsoever. Zero. Okay? I think that it is absolute joke that the people in her district voted for her to represent their district. It makes their district look terrible. Yes, you people there in Northwest Georgia, you're a disgrace. I don't understand why you wouldn't elect this woman. She is absolutely, positively an atrocious politician and has no business representing you. But they did. So what am I? And look, I'm just one talking head idiot in Vegas talking about her, and that's my opinion. But I just happen to be right. So hey, I mean she has no business being in politics in Washington D.C.
You're absolutely right when it comes to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let me be very clear to the people out there. Hopefully, some of you that are semi-intelligent, whether you're a MAGA or not, you might struggle with this. But I'm going to speak slowly and distinctly, and then we can move on. Are there some Democrats that could be pedophiles? Sure. Are there some Republicans that also are pedophiles? Sure. Notice how I didn't say all Democrats or all Republicans, because that would be a ridiculous statement. Are there some Republicans that are racist? Sure. I'm sure there are some Democrats that are racist too. It can happen on both sides of the aisle. So anybody like a Marjorie Taylor Greene who makes a generic statement that all Democrats are pedophiles, you're a moron. That is not true, and it's a ridiculous statement to make. There are bad people on both sides of the aisle. I don't care what color of skin you are. I don't care whether you're man, woman, trans. It doesn't matter to me. There are bad people in society of all walks, all sizes, all backgrounds. When you are an elected politician, and sadly, Chris, Marjorie Taylor Greene is an elected official, when you go on a national TV show, let alone social media, and when you call half the country pedophiles just because you don't agree with their politics, you are dangerous to society, you are inciting violence, and you're a moron. And that is what Marjorie Taylor Greene is. You have to be careful with the words you use, whether you do a little radio show or whether you're a politician with a huge platform. You can't say that an entire group of people are racist. I had never said on this show, even though I'm very unhappy with a lot of Republicans these days, I would never insinuate that all Republicans are racist or bad people. In fact, we have a guy in studio tomorrow who's a Republican, who I respect, who's a friend. His name is Doc Walls. He's running for mayor. He's announcing that on this show tomorrow in Las Vegas. You can't generalize and make that statement because it's wrong and it's awful. Let me open up the phone lines. 702-221-7283. And again, that number if you want to be a part of the conversation. What do you think of this Roman Catholic parish story where we have apparently at least 600 children who have been molested, and they tried to keep this story quiet? Meanwhile, Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling all Democrats pedophiles. The number to call, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, now's the time to do so. 702-221-7283. That's 702-221-SAVE. Let's start off with Fernando. Hi, Fernando. What's going on?
Fernando?
Hey, guys. Good show. The Catholic Church is they're doing it again. They're covering up. And when these priests do wrongdoings, they just send them to different countries. Nothing happens to them. But with NGT or NTG, whatever her name is, have you guys seen the videos that Michael Rappaport puts out on her?
Oh, I love Rappaport is hilarious, right, Fernando? A guy is hilarious.
Yeah.
A little over the top sometimes, but it's very entertaining. Let's put it that way, right, guys?
Me and Chris were watching it.
We were watching it last night, Fernando. We were checking out some of his
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
And he really rags on her, and she only lasted 10 minutes in New York. She couldn't take the heat, and someone told her to take her 6 toes back to Georgia or something like that. It was hilarious.
Fernando, you know what that was, right? It was just a video and a photo op for her to go up there and show, her base and show Republicans around the country that I'm MTG and I support the former president, and that's the only reason she was there. She had no business. And by the way, on top of it, this shows how stupid she is, how dumb she is as an individual. Mm-hmm. She goes up there and she insults the entire city. She goes up there and starts talking about how New York sucks this, and it's putrid, and the people suck here. She was like lambasting New York when she was up there. I'm like, you can't even get out of your own way, girl. You're such a joke. She is an absolute. If there was a definition of a person who is a joke in the dictionary, there'd be a picture of Marjorie Taylor Greene in there. I mean, it's absolutely absurd, some of the things that this woman says.
She's the worst, one of the worst, or she might be the all-time worst. But hey, you guys take care. Have a good day,
Thanks,
man.
Fernando.
Thanks, Fernando.
702-221-7283. Again, that number to call, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Paul. Hi, Paul. What's going on?
What's up, Paul?
Yes, I talked to you guys before. I'm a Trump supporter,
Okay.
and you guys are the same. You're saying same thing that Mark Pellegrin supposedly said. You guys were talking about AK-47, but I'll get to that after I get into the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church are not Christians, okay? The Mormon Church is not a Christian, okay? A Christian does not do that. They should have excommunicated those priests a long time ago for
So
one.
is it your take,
The
Paul,
Bible-
that a Christian cannot commit a violent crime? Is that what you're saying,
seen
sir?
No.
Stories.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, so
I'm
what's your
just
point
saying.
then?
My point is if you go to a true Christian church and somebody does something that, as well as fornication, as well as cheating on
There have been priests,
wife,
some in Christian churches, that have molested children in the past. It has happened
And
before,
cheated
and
on
for
their
you to
wives
say
and
that that
stolen
can't
women.
happen is factually inaccurate, sir.
It's just it doesn't
I
matter.
didn't say that.
What-
I didn't say that. I said they should be prosecuted to the
Well, I don't
full
think any
extent of
reasonable
the law.
person would
Well,
disagree
we all
with you on
agree with that, right? You all agree that anybody that is charged
Paul-
with child molestation or any kind of molestation should be
Paul,
charged.
But Paul,
Yeah.
that wasn't the point of why I brought this up. The reason why I brought it up, besides it being terrible, Christian or not, is that there are some Republicans in office that have been calling all Democrats pedophiles, and those same Republicans won't bring up this story. That's the point I'm bringing up. There, you can be a pedophile no matter what you look like or what party you're from.
That's my exact point. You were talking about AK-47 the other day.
I've
okay?
never brought up an AK-47. I have used the term assault weapon.
Okay, assault weapon. All right, you had the guy from Australia on. Now, he can't say nothing because he's not on the show today, okay?
Okay.
But he comes from Australia and wants to take our First Amendment right
He
away.
does not
our
want to
guns.
take your First Amendment rights away. Once again, you are
First,
factually
Second Amendment, right?
Okay,
Not first.
He said
First Amendment
okay,
is
that
speech.
is factually inaccurate. Nobody in this country wants to take all your guns away. They want to take assault weapons away. I've never
But
said.
well, let me explain. Let me explain why I'm saying this.
Okay.
Okay. You guys talked about the assault weapons, but you never once brought up Philadelphia. Never once brought up Chicago. and you
Actually,
never once-
we brought up
actually,
Chicago
I spoke
today.
about Chicago today for 5 minutes. Get the MAGA wax out of your
Today, I
ears,
wasn't
sir.
listening. I was talking about during the assault on the assault weapon. It's
I
the right
talked
to
about
bear
Chicago
arms.
today.
Well, Paul, let me ask you this, Paul. Do you want assault weapons on our streets?
Absolutely.
Why do you want assault weapons on our streets? Hold on, Brian. Hold on. Why?
The Constitution doesn't distinguish what type of gun it is. It's the right to bear arms. They knew that our
Paul,
government...
let's stick to the question though. Why do you specifically want assault rifles on our streets? What does it do for us?
The reason why is what's going on in our government today.
What does that mean? Explain.
That means they're tyrannical. They're pushing. Did you go through COVID?
All right, hold on.
Let me ask you this though. But Paul, do you have an assault rifle?
No, semi-auto.
Okay, so what do you plan on using your gun for?
But I got a 9mm that holds a 9-clip round.
And why do you have that? What's your plan for your gun? Is it protect yourself, your family, or another January 6th? What's the point of having your gun?
We're supposed to have a full-blown militia.
Oh, who says who? Where? When?
Our forefathers told us to always be vigilant. It's part of
Okay, so let me take over here. First of all, there's a difference between being vigilant and then saying you need assault weapons to attack our government. That's number one. Number two, you're talking about assault weapons, and you have the right to have an assault weapon, and when the Constitution was written, the right to bear arms. Let me remind you that when that Constitution, those rights were written out, there was something called muskets, and in the Constitution also comes responsibility. So there's a far line difference between, for example, a musket and an AR-15. It also comes with responsibility. We can't have bazookas. There's certain machine guns you can't own. You can't have a tank.
And there's your twist, sir. There's your twist. It doesn't say musket. It says the right to bear arms.
What weapons were available when the Constitution was written, sir?
You know what? It says the right to bear. It's an arm.
What
It's
weapons
the right
were
to bear.
being used at the time the Constitution was written?
It
Please
doesn't
answer the
matter. It
question.
says the right to bear arms.
I'm going to ask
They
you
have-
for a third time, or we're going to hang up on you. You ask questions, and we ask questions. If you're not going to answer my question, then get
They had
lost.
cannons.
What
They had
weapons were
cannons.
available to the public?
They had
Cannons.
cannons. They
Wait,
had
who's
cannons.
okay? But Paul, who is using a
Why
cannon
did you
in
yell at-
2023? Please let me know, regardless if they had cannons or not. Why do you believe that assault rifles are needed on our streets? At what
All right.
point do you think you need an assault rifle to defend yourself?
What?
Yeah.
The question is, why did the police department get the assault weapons after people started carrying them?
All right, what an idiotic statement. I appreciate the call,
My
Paul.
question is, Brian and Jamie, that conversation is going down a whole bunch of rabbit holes. It started out with Paul calling in and saying, trying to distance himself from the Catholic Church, saying, "Oh, you know, I happen to be Christian. Christians are not Catholics." Okay, you made your point. Okay, you understand why we are going down this road.
Yeah.
He tried to get you in a gotcha moment, essentially,
Failed.
and then it went down a bunch of other roads that we didn't even talk about today. I've been on the show for about 15 minutes.
It's okay.
We haven't talked
So,
about
Paul,
assault rifles.
no.
We're not talking about all that.
But,
and then
Paul-
you want to start talking about the Second Amendment, and it's like, dude, come on, man.
that
Like,
is a
stick to
circuit.
the topic.
So-
All right. Yes, we addressed the Catholic Church and we addressed child molestation and the hypocrisy that takes place in America. We don't need to go down all these other roads about assault weapons and all this other
Well,
stuff
he wanted to-
that he wanted
he
to
wanted
do.
to go
He's
down
bringing
the-
up AK-47s.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, we haven't talked about. You guys
No,
haven't talked
I will,
about AK-47s on the
I will
show.
address
so I don't know what he's talking about.
Paul's idiotic statement there at the end. You see, law enforcement officials should be allowed to carry weapons to protect and serve, and they should be allowed to carry certain weapons and artillery that the general public doesn't, because that's their job to protect and serve. So him bringing that up doesn't make any sense. Number two, he wouldn't answer my question. Yeah, they had cannons and they had something called muskets when the Constitution was written, and in that Constitution, he also doesn't bring up the fact that there is responsibility. There is reasonable responsibility when it comes to guns. You don't need an AR-15 to defend yourself, and this guy in our lifetime is not going to have to defend himself from the government with an AR-15. Only a psycho would make a statement like that.
Yeah, he has a
He
frame of
couldn't-
mind. He
he
thinks that
couldn't
the
answer
government.
any of
He
my
thinks the
questions.
government's coming after him and
He
taking
did.
his
He
guns.
said there's
Yeah.
going to be a tyranny soon.
Yeah, well, that's
Please.
obviously that's an idiotic statement. That's
Be for
not
real.
That's not going to happen. And people that think that way are very, very deranged. But that person that thinks that way thinks that we should have more guns, not less guns in society. And that's why we had a bunch of innocent people killed in Kentucky today at a bank. And that's why we continue to have these mass shootings, because of that train of thought. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back,
break time.
Jamie's going to be coming back with a hot topic
Ooh, it's about to get spicy.
that involves a gun and guns, and it involves
Pew,
a
pew.
17-year-old that stole a vehicle and was shot and killed by
you
law
weren't supposed to
enforcement.
tell Chris.
No, well, we have to do a tease coming back. so-
Yeah, because I haven't heard anything about this story all week long.
I don't think
You're
Well,
really
I sent it to you,
You really
Chris.
were gonna sneak this
I
in
sent it
under
to
the
you,
under the
Chris.
radar on
Well,
me.
yeah, I didn't want you to prepare your speech, Chris.
All right, so we'll take a quick break and we'll come back with the story. The number to call, by the way, 702-221-7283. We're going to talk about the story when we come back. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give them a call now or text them at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. All right, welcome back. Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Sounds like we are in Dre's nightclub.
It's lit! Mega Monday!
Which is a place that I don't want to be. But anyway, welcome back. I do. Welcome back to the show. The millennial wants to be in the nightclub, not me. But anyway, I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Sahara West Urgent Primary Care. They're located at 6125 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 1B. No appointment needed. You can give them a call at 702-248-0554. They take most insurances. If you don't have insurance, only a $95 payment. How cool is that? Please check them out, Sahara West Urgent Primary Care. Tell them that B-Shap sent you, and I promise they'll take care of you. Wonderful people over there. Say hello to Andrew and Jessica. All right, so a big story. That's been brewing.
Big story.
That involves, you could argue, even though I don't think that it had anything to do with this, but you can argue it has race, it has law enforcement, police, a gun, and a 17-year-old dead. Jamie, what can you tell us about this?
So, for those who are just now tuning in, this is a situation between a 17-year-old and a police officer. The 17-year-old was allegedly stealing a car and parked the stolen car on the street, was fast asleep in the car, and the police officers came to the scene to arrest this 17-year-old. They snuck into the car, and they started the 17-year-old awake. The 17-year-old did drive off with one police officer in the back seat. Now, if you watch the video, there was police officers in the front seat. There was police officers in the back seat. The police officers who were trying to detain the suspect in the front seat were able to move away from the car, while the police officer in the back seat remained in the car in this drive-off. Now, the police officer did yell several times, "Pull over, I'm going to shoot." The 17-year-old obviously did not pull over because he got shot in the back more than 3 times. Then this car ran into a random person's house, and the 17-year-old did pass away on the scene while the police officer is fine. He did go to the hospital to be treated for non-serious injuries. Now, with this situation, if you were here last week, Brian and I had a quick disagreement where I stated that this whole situation was wrong. We're moving race out of it. I don't believe that the police officers should have snuck into the car the way they did. I believe their entire tactic was completely wrong and disgusting. I understand that the police officer may have been in danger while he was being in the car, while he was in the car in the back seat, but he put himself in that situation. If they would have done this whole thing differently, this wouldn't have happened. We probably would have still had the 17-year-old on the street to tell the story. And on top of this, who's to say this was a stolen car from somebody who they actually got this car from? They haven't come out with the evidence yet that this was a stolen car from a random person. There's been several incidents where people have said, "Oh, my car was stolen, but it was just a mad girlfriend, the boyfriend at the time," and now we don't even know whose car this was.
So let me just give my quick opinion, then I'll let Chris go. Yeah. Just a minute here.
Chris is ramped up.
So first of all, the thing that Jamie didn't mention, and this is why we kind of got
I didn't mention it, huh?
We didn't get into a debate, is that if the 17-year-old, number one, didn't steal a car, and by the way, that's already been proven, that was a stolen car that he took.
Whose was it?
I don't have the exact name of the person who owned the car, but they checked the license plate, and that's how they can tell if it's a stolen vehicle. Hold on,
wait, pause, because I want to make sure you understand. That was a fact that was in the original story, which I did bring up last week. However, I still want to make this statement that unless you tell me whose car it was, then I don't because I told you when I was 16, I was told I stole my mom's car. When my mom told me I could use her car to go to Walgreens.
So let me start from the beginning again. The 17-year-old is in a stolen vehicle, sleeping in the car. He stole the vehicle. He doesn't comply with police officers. He drives off with a police officer in the back seat. I've watched the video multiple times where the police officer tells him several times to pull over or he's going to be shot. Here's where my opinion is based on the law. Now, if you want to have an opinion that's not the law and say, well, geez, the officers could have handled it a different way, the proof be told, they didn't break any police protocol based on the law. What does the law say? First of all, they're allowed to sneak up on an individual. That's not that's protocol.
I don't disagree.
Okay, but you can disagree, but then
I said I don't. I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
That's the law. So the reason why they're sneaking up on a vehicle because they're trying not to startle him. And
what? Make it make sense. They were not trying not to startle the man.
They
did exactly the opposite then.
So if they wanted to startle him, they wouldn't be whispering and they would have yelled, "You're under arrest." So they did. They did.
Okay. When they got into the car.
Numchuck, I'm getting a feeling it's going to be a repeat of the segment that these guys did last week.
So let me just
It's fine.
again, my
It's
opinion.
fine. He gonna get this heat.
My opinion is very simple and very.
Your opinion is wrong.
Then you're saying my opinion shouldn't be based on the law, and I disagree.
No, I
with
didn't
you.
say that. Listen, I respect the law.
Okay, so let me finish.
Go ahead.
My opinion is just based on the law. It's nothing to what you're referring to.
Well, remove the law. Tell me your opinion.
Okay.
I don't want to hear the law.
What do you mean remove the law?
I don't want to hear the
because
my thing is this. Regardless
you don't want to hear about the law.
No. Listen,
that's ridiculous.
I respect the law. I am.
You're saying you don't want to hear about the law.
No, that's not what I said. Okay. What I said, I'm gonna be very clear, Brian, is remove the law. This is an opinion-based show. I want to understand what is your opinion about the situation. It was wrong.
Okay, so when I give an opinion on an officer-involved shooting, maybe this is just my reporter background. I bring the law into it.
That's great.
Hold on, let me finish.
But the law is not always right, is it?
Let me finish. The law clearly states that if a police officer feels like he is in reasonable fear of his life, he's allowed to use deadly force. And based on the law, if a police officer is in the back seat of a stolen vehicle of a 17-year-old driving the vehicle fast that is not complying with officers, any law, any judge, any jury would say that is reasonable for an officer to be in fear of his life. Now, if you disagree with that law and you want to change the laws, that's a different conversation. I am just going by this specific case with the evidence being put forth in front of me with the video. That officer did not commit a crime. Those officers did not commit a crime. The only person that was committing crimes in that video was the dumb 17-year-old kid who didn't comply, who drove off and put officers' lives at risk and everybody else.
So, Chris, you're Chris. Brian, I agree with you. Let me make this very, very clear. Because I saw Chris was ready to ramp up and get you.
Well, I mean,
but wait, hold on.
Waiting on you guys.
Brian,
hold on. I'm waiting on you guys.
Wait. Brian, I agree with you. If we're sticking to the law and we're talking about facts, I do believe that these laws are in place to protect those who are in danger. I do believe that the police officers should be following the laws, but sometimes they manipulate the law. On top of that, I feel as though that at the end of this whole entire situation, we lost a 17-year-old when we didn't have to even go this route. I feel as though that the tactics the police officers displayed were in poor taste, and I believe that they could have handled the situation a lot better. Do I believe the 17-year-old was dumb? I surely do. Should the 17-year-old should have complied? I completely agree. Do we know how we would have all reacted in a situation where we're startled? No. And I'm saying that at the end of the day,
I wouldn't drive off. I wouldn't.
You don't know what you would do.
No, I do.
You don't know.
No, I do,
you?
actually.
Do you?
I do.
If you were fast asleep in your car right now and somebody jumped in your car and said, "Don't move," you're under arrest.
No,
you're gonna
not somebody.
Brian,
police officers.
Brian, the way
no,
that you,
no.
Brian,
I
the
wouldn't
way,
drive
listen,
off.
pause.
I would comply.
Brian, the way that you pop off of people in casinos randomly with no warrant, I don't believe you would completely comply.
So you're comparing. Hold on. So you're comparing.
I know. I'm just saying.
Hold on,
you
Jamie. Let me respond.
Really quick in situations.
Let me respond.
This ain't not Chris.
Jamie,
You've seen him in these situations.
Jamie. Let me respond.
Go ahead.
You're comparing popping off verbally to somebody at a poker table in a casino to complying or not complying to several. Hold on. That's a ridiculous analogy. Number two. I've been in situations with police officers before. I've been in situations with cops before, and I complied with them. That's number two. Yeah. So to answer your question, it doesn't matter whether I was 17 or 42. The answer is yes. I wouldn't do what that 17-year-old did. I wouldn't steal a vehicle, and I wouldn't drive off. And again, you can say they manipulated the law. I could tell you that a jury and a judge and the law disagrees with you. There's nothing they did that manipulated the law.
I did not say that they manipulated the law in this situation. I said that police officers do manipulate the law, and
I'm talking about this specific situation.
And what I said specifically about this was that their tactics were in poor taste.
Let's let Chris respond.
Okay, so I'm going to say some things, guys, that both you, Brian, and Jamie are going to agree with.
Okay.
I'm going to say some things that both of you are probably going to disagree with me on,
get into
and
it.
you're wrong to disagree with me on.
Get
these,
into
okay?
it.
So that's what I'm saying.
into it,
So
Mr.
I'm going
Wynn.
to say some things that you guys are going to disagree, but you shouldn't disagree.
Okay.
All right. I saw all the video you guys saw. I watched everything that was available, including the uncut video that you happened to send me, Jamie, and actually saw exactly what happened. There's no question that the 17-year-old did some stupid things, without a doubt. Okay, first of all, why are you passing out in a car that you stole?
Yeah, you're a dummy.
On the street. Stupid.
Yeah.
All right. Why are you resisting arrest, which is what took place in the car? You guys saw the video.
Yeah,
the officers tried to arrest him. He essentially was fighting them before he took off and drove the car off. All right? Can't do that. I don't care if you're white, black, whatever. You can't do that. Okay. So that was stupid again. All right, and then obviously driving off, and then the officer telling you, "Hey, I have a gun. I'm going to shoot you." Most people in that situation would stop the car, right? Or you would give up, right? You would just give up and say, "Oh,
Well, obviously he didn't.
And he didn't do that. Okay, so that's one thing here. On the other side of things, you saw in the video, okay, the officer's tactics when it came to the arrest or the attempted arrest, right? There was the cutting out of the window, the plastic in the window. There was the officer getting into the back seat. Now, there's going to be an investigation. This is something you guys didn't even talk about at all. Okay. The Park Police is going to be doing an investigation into this case. We have video, obviously, that the public has already seen. There's whatever their procedures are. I'm not privy to it. Brian's not. You aren't. As far as the exact procedures that police officers may or may not have followed in this case, and therefore, that's going to come into play when it comes to the investigation. Now, these officers are still on duty. They have not been suspended with pay or without pay or anything. They're still on duty. So, when it comes to what Brian calls as the law, you say the law like you're someone that's all knowing as far as what their procedures are. You don't look. You got to calm down with that, okay?
Oh!
Yeah, the procedure. Well, look, calm down, Jamie. There'll be an investigation by the Park Police. They're going to do an investigation. They're the one. I expect that the Park Police will calm down. The Park Police are going to do an investigation. They are aware of what the actual procedures are when it comes to an arrest, right? And as far as procedures, whether or not it was right, for lack of a better word, for the police officer to be in the back seat of the car. I mean, look, as a common sense guy who's not a police officer, all right, I would think you'd want to stay outside of the vehicle if you're the police officers and just have guns drawn and then see what happens as far as the kid should just get out of the car, right, and get arrested, right? That's the best case scenario in my. Right. What happened here? It went sideways, obviously,
yes, it did.
right? You had a police officer in the back seat. You said the police officer in the front seat. He wasn't in the front seat. No. He was trying to get in. Trying to arrest the guy.
There was police officers who were in the front seat with the 17-year-old, like in the door, in the front seat.
In the door. And so he drove off, and so the officer got knocked out or whatever.
And then there was in the back.
Okay, so fine, semantics, whatever. Yeah. So there was one guy in the back seat, which was kind of strange. I'm like, why are you in the back seat of the car at all? You could just be outside the car.
Exactly.
And you could.
Okay.
I'm not done. Brian, let me finish. You're the one. You guys had like a 10-minute discussion, right? So now we get to he's driving the car, right? Mm-hmm. And the notion of the officer's life is in danger. And I brought this up to Brian yesterday, Jamie, to be fair. Okay, I brought this up. No, calm down. I brought this up to Brian yesterday. All right? This idea that the police officer is in danger, his life is in danger because he's in the backseat of a car. Yeah, that's obvious. You're in the backseat of a car being driven by somebody else. Right. Your life, I guess, is in danger, if he wants to die himself, right? If he wants to kill himself, if you want to run over people, if you want to drive into a brick wall, whatever. Yeah, you'd be in danger. Right. But you know what else makes you in danger? When you shoot and kill the individual driving the car.
I said the same thing.
You shoot and kill the individual driving the car. That creates a scenario in which there's no driver of the car. So here's the deal. So this is what I say. Yes, the kid was stupid. He did stupid things. All right. And this is my final point regarding the police officer. and it's a question. I'm going to ask it as a question, and you guys can kind of answer, I guess. Okay. All right? Are you trying to tell me that his only option in this scenario for the police officer was to shoot and kill the driver, shoot and kill the kid? And the answer obviously is no. The answer is obviously no. It's a leading question. It's a leading question, but the answer is obviously no. So, Brian, I don't know what you're going to say as far as well, yeah, you can, but just let me cap it off real quick. The idea that a police officer is in danger, but now all of a sudden he's not in danger because you shoot and kill the guy driving the car is kind of a ridiculous take because the individual, there's nobody driving the car anymore, and the car's still in motion.
Wait, real quick.
Well, I don't understand.
Chris,
why is that a comment that is even debatable? It's not debatable. It's not a debatable comment.
Let me make this
by either of you.
Let me make this real clear. I'm going to do my best to continue to not talk over you guys because I want to make sure that everybody gets their opinions heard. I can do better.
Well, I mean, I just gave mine.
Hold on, Chris.
You guys gave yours.
I just want to make. You're right, but I want to make this very, very clear because Brian does deserve the floor. I agree with the law. I agree with police being in power to protect us, and I do believe this whole entire situation was reckless. I believe that the 17-year-old driver was acting dumb in this moment.
No question.
He lost his life because of a dumb thing he did.
Multiple things can be true, right? Multiple things can be true.
Hold on, Chris. I want to get to Brian.
It's not just all or nothing.
I want to get to Brian real quick.
Well,
I want to say that I agree with Brian.
It's an important point,
I agree with Brian on the point that police are put into place to protect us, and the laws are put into place to make sure that everybody follows them. Right.
No question.
However, I want to say that I agree with you as it pertains to this situation. I want to make this very clear to Brian because I want his response to be direct. I only saying the tactics behind this through the police who were in this situation were just dumb. Period. That's my specific point, and I agree with respect to the law.
So I go back to, and we're going to take some phone calls at 7. We're running out of time here. 702-221-7283. Go back to what I said earlier. You can have your opinions on whether you think the officer shouldn't have fired the weapon. All that matters is the law. And Chris had made a statement about, you don't know the law or something.
I didn't say that.
Chris,
I said that.
Chris, let me just finish.
You're acting like you're the only one that knows about what procedure of the law, and you don't.
Please, just give me a minute here. Being a reporter for 10 years, I know a little bit about what officers can or can't do. Do I know everything about that precinct and everything in the protocols? No. But I will say this once again. I guarantee you this based on the law. The officer that fired the weapon will not be charged with a crime.
Okay, so let me finish. That's your hot take, though. That's your take, and you might be right.
Chris, you
might be right.
You got to let me talk for more than 30 seconds.
I guess.
Please,
okay.
I'm asking you respectfully.
I'm being quiet.
Please let me finish my statement without interrupting me. You've done it twice now in 30 seconds.
Yeah, but you have your hot takes, and then you just
so you got to
let it slide.
Can I finish, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
In that moment, you can disagree with what the officer did, and you could say, boy, he should have let him keep riding, and maybe he could have not shot him in the back. You could have those opinions. But all that matters here is the actual law. And I guarantee you, in that moment, when the officer fired the weapon, he believed that his life was in danger. That's number one. Number two. Number two. Well, you can disagree with that, but the law is going to say you're wrong. Number two. Third time being interrupted in a minute. Number two. If that officer is in the back seat of a car on the strip, per se, when and this is based on the law, and there's a lot of people on the street, and if you shoot that individual, you're putting a lot of lives in danger, then that officer can be charged with a crime. In this specific situation, there were no people walking around the street. There were just officers following this individual. There was nobody coming from traffic on the other side. The individual was shot, and he crashed his car into a home. There weren't hundreds of people around or oncoming traffic where the officer put a lot of other people's lives in danger. Now, if he did, I would agree with you, but he didn't. Here's the bottom line. And we'll see where the chips fall where they may. I don't believe that officer committed any crimes. I don't believe those other officers committed any crimes. According to the law, you can disagree with how they handled it, and you could say they could have handled it a different way, and maybe a 17-year-old's life could have been saved. The reason why this 17-year-old is dead is for his fault and his fault only, and that will be proven, and those officers will still be police officers, and quite frankly, I don't think they broke any laws.
I'm raising my hand. Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I want to be very clear, and I want to also get this distinction. Are you saying that Chris and I are disagreeing that the police officer. Wait, I made me forget. Well, let me look at me.
Well, let's take a call. Let's take a call.
Okay, so for the last 5 minutes, Brian just tried to clarify his point and tried to get across to us that he thinks he's right and we're wrong. That's all it was. That's all it was.
He does it all
last
the time.
5 minutes.
Fine. But
Well, I mean,
Brian,
I'm
I want to
you.
understand. Do you believe that we think that the police officers are completely broke the law? Do you think we think that they broke the law? Because we're not saying that.
I think he's getting off.
We're not
I think he's
saying
getting
that.
off. So I mean, I would agree with you on that.
Let's see what a caller thinks. 702-221-7283. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Al. Al, what's going on? Quickly.
Hey, how you guys doing? Sorry to call in so late. Regarding I don't want to get too into this, the kid getting shot. What I wanted to call in about was the weapons thing, where it's ridiculous that 18-year-olds can get a AR, whatever, and you have to be 21 to get a handgun. There's
tell you what,
Are
Al,
we even talking about that, though?
Al,
we're
tell
not
you,
even talking about that.
my friend, we're going to talk more about gun control
Yeah.
tomorrow on the show.
Okay.
We're going to get more information about the shooting, and I would love to hear your opinions on that. Sound fair?
Okay.
Okay,
That sounds fair. But anyways, there's a new law in Washington that just came in that they process that you cannot buy a AR, whatever, if you're 18, and I would like to talk about that tomorrow.
Okay, so
How's
call
that?
in tomorrow, Al,
Yeah.
and you're welcome to, my friend, okay?
Okay, so back on
All
topic,
right.
though,
Thank
Brian.
you, Al.
I told you
Okay.
guys, I told both of you, Jamie and Brian, before I started my
didn't tell me you had a
chirping
conversation
for
without
5
me.
minutes. I told you that there were going to be things, aspects to this that I'm going to mention that both you and Brian would agree with, and that you would disagree with, and that you're wrong to disagree with me on. I kind of made that point. I tried to make that point when it came to this topic.
I agree with
look,
you on everything.
Look, I agree. I don't think the police officer is going to end up getting charged with anything.
they're not.
I think police officers are given the benefit of the doubt,
But they're
and
still
that's
wrong.
what's going to take place here. I disagree, though, with this whole idea that, Brian, you are on board with, that, oh, yeah, it was his only option was to shoot and kill the guy that's driving the car. That's the only issue that I have with
Here's
the
what I
situation.
will say to
it's
end
not
this.
the only
Here's
option.
what I will
He
say.
had other options.
Here's what I will say to end this. If I'm in the back seat of a vehicle and I have,
shouldn't have been.
if I'm
Then
in the
don't be
back,
there.
if I'm in
Yeah.
the back seat of a vehicle and somebody is driving a stolen car and I have a gun, I'm probably going to shoot them. And I wouldn't feel bad about it at all.
What
That's
is
kind of
wrong
a
with
blanket.
you, Brian?
Yeah, that's a blanket
Brian,
general
what is
statement.
wrong
I
with
would.
you?
I'd be in fear for my
that's
life.
weird.
Brian,
I'd be in fear for my life. And,
You wouldn't be in fear if the
yourself in
guy's
that
dead
fear.
and that nobody's driving the car. You wouldn't be
put
fear for your life
yourself
then.
in the back. You put yourself in that
You wouldn't be
situation.
scared for your life then if there's nobody driving the car.
Exactly. You make it more
if you're-
dangerous.
I mean, it's
to
so
kill the person
ridiculous, dude.
driving.
Come on, man.
Well, okay,
Versus
that's
disabling
that's
I mean, it's an obvious point that I'm making.
All right.
Very
Yeah, we
obvious.
needed more time.
No
We
one's
have a
driving the
minute.
car.
We have a minute here, and again, I will go back to what I said earlier, which is very, very simple.
Which just means Brian is right and
If,
we're wrong.
if
Brian's
no,
right, yeah.
no, I'm just
He
going
thinks
by
he's
the
right,
law.
that's fine.
He's like, I want to end up my
Hey,
statement because you guys are wrong.
everybody can think they're right. I
Okay,
guess.
well, I tend to
wrong.
have opinions based on what the law says and whether police officers
not
broke the
fair.
law or not.
we do too.
If the
we
police
do.
officer,
we do too, Brian.
here's the
Lost
thing:
law, the
if
tactics
a
are
police
trash.
officer breaks the law, then they should be held to account. If they don't break the law, then they shouldn't be held
Yeah,
to
people don't
account.
drive right.
It's very, very simple. The only person that broke the law in that whole sequence was the 17-year-old, and now sadly that 17-year-old is dead. So I think if there's,
that's true.
if there's anything we learned from this story,
true.
That's true, Brian.
it's don't steal a car, comply with police. Because if you don't, you can be put in this situation. I don't want anybody to be
I
put
think
in
we should
this
also
situation.
learn that police officers should do things a little differently when it comes to their tactics.
Okay, well that's your opinion.
And don't pass out in the stolen car either.
Yeah, and don't get in the back seat.
Okay, well I'm not a professional when it comes to police training. If you are, that's cool. But we got to go, everybody. Thank you to Chris Wynn for joining us. Hour number
Good
2.
talk.
I have a feeling
Good
we will
times.
continue this conversation into lunch. But hey, Doc Wall's going to be joining us in studio tomorrow. Doc is running for mayor here in Las Vegas, and we'll get into this with him and talk a little bit more about gun control. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thanks, guys.